DevOps, it starts with dev, right? I feel like dev is where it's at, but I don't really feel like I belong here. I don't know what in the world I'm doing. I do know, though, that software is eating the world because we've been told that. And so that's developers. Like software, we're eating the world. It's awesome. But frankly, I'm here because DevOps is not my job. I think DevOps is terrible, and I want it to never be my job again. And I want to talk to you about that. So, as I mentioned, I'm a developer. This is my Bible, Code Complete. You know what a developer does? This is the place where I live. There's a bunch of quotes in here from the book. The one that I've highlighted here is in orange. With a focus on construction, the individual programmer's productivity can improve enormously. And frankly, that's what I care about. I give a lot of shits about my productivity. My job is to write code, test code, commit that code to a version control repository, and then do a git push. And when I've done that, I'm ready to drop the mic and walk out. That's the end of my job. That's what a developer is here for. This DevOps stuff, I really don't understand it. But let me tell you about my history and how I came to this place. It was many years ago when what I wanted to do was get my applications out to my customers. And the operations people and the IT people kept telling me no, 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 no. But then this beautiful thing came along. It was the cloud. And I was happy. What I could do was I could ignore the IT and the operations people. Frankly, I could disenfranchise them. I could work around them. I could go and just put my apps into the cloud. I could work with a web UI to launch my own infrastructure, drop my apps there, and run. Now I'm feeling even more productive. It's awesome. But then this thing happened. Like, they came in and they started asking me these really tough questions that I did not and still don't want to think about. Is the data safe? Are the costs in line with the budget? What's going on? Like, how are you backing up that data? What are you going to do when there's a problem? How are you even going to know that there's a problem? Well, I'm a developer. I write code. I commit that code. I push that code. That's it. I'm done. I don't care about these questions. Why should I have to worry about them? Works on my laptop. DevOps is not my job. It's not what I'm here to do. Write the code, push the code. That's the job of a developer. Then someone started talking to me. They came to a conference just like this. It was some DevOpsDays somewhere in the world. And they came back and they started talking about DevOps. And I'm like, all right, whatever. DevOps, what does that mean? They're like, well, first things first, you get production access. Like, sweet, I can now stop asking you for my logs. I can log in and get my own logs. That was awesome. But then this terrible thing happened. They gave me a VictorOps account. They're like, yep, you get a pager, you get a VictorOps account, and we're going to wake you up at 2 a.m. because when your shit breaks, it's your shit. Go fix it. And then I had to remind them, no, I'm a developer. That is not my job. DevOps is not my job. My job is to write code, test that code, put that code in a version control system, and go home. That's what a developer does. Last May, can we all just pause for a second and think about your mindset last May? Think about how hopeful you were. There were amazing things that were going to happen. We were going to change the world. And the other thing that happened last May was this awesome conference called Serverless. And I was super stoked because I'm a developer. Serverless, what could be better? I don't give a shit about servers. I want to write my code. It works there. It's fine. The serverless conference is coming up. So I went to my manager. I said, can I go to the serverless conference? And he said, hang on 1 second. Oh, nope, that's the week you're on call. Sorry, no serverless conference for you. But I'm going to send you to Nashville later this year. You're going to the DevOps conference. I was not very happy. I was able to watch some of the videos, and then shortly after the conference, this amazing article came out on the news stack. Did anyone here read this article? Yeah, one person read the article. You did? 2 people? 3 people? 3 or 4 people? Did anyone here write this article? Okay, good. Whew. That might get awkward. But look at this. The road to no-ops, serverless computing is gaining momentum. I'm feeling really good. This is my jam, serverless computing. This guy in the article was quoted, Chad he's a CEO at iron.io. How many have heard of iron.io? A couple of people. Anyone work at iron.io? No? Okay. They do stuff for, they do compute systems for serverless. And so I guess if we just stop calling them servers and start calling them compute systems, that's how that works? I don't know. Anyhow, Chad was quoted in the article, "The problem with DevOps," are you ready? "It makes the developer part of the operations team." Chad was speaking to me. I'm like, no, not that. "And that screeches enterprise innovation and agility to a halt." That's what happens. When we ask our developers to participate in operations, when we ask our developers to pick up a pager and take responsibility for production, it screeches enterprise innovation and agility to a halt. How many want to do that? You want to screech enterprise? Yeah, that's good. There's a couple of people. What you should both do is talk to Jill, because she'll find you another job. Yeah. Maybe out of tech. Can you help them outside of tech, maybe? Okay, good. That is not my job. DevOps is not my job. I'm a developer. In that article, they looked at a study. This study was done by a group out of Boston. They put together this chart. You can't read this chart, but I can read it to you. They asked the question, what are the biggest obstacles you face when it comes to generating a return on your investments in innovation and product development? The number one answer, development times are too long. So the author of this article took this study, and he it's a long study. Like, you have to scroll 3 times to read the whole study. But don't worry, he boiled it down for us. DevOps significantly adds to the development time as application builders are weighed down by the need to manage their server infrastructure at the same time. So the reason our development times are too long is because of fucking DevOps. And I call bullshit. I'm done with DevOps. I'm sorry if you are offended by language of explicit nature. Also, I can't help myself. DevOps, to me, it's a tire fire. I stopped myself there. It is a tire fire. It's maybe hard to see. Those are little Lego tires, and they're on fire. DevOps is destroying my productivity. DevOps is destroying my ability to innovate. And it's not for me. It's also probably not for your organization. And it's probably doing a lot of harm to your organization. So I'm glad that you're here at DevOpsDays Nashville so that you can hear this message. What you need to do is stop DevOps. DevOps is not my job. Okay. So I feel like maybe we got off on a little bit of the wrong foot. Maybe we should start over. So hi, my name's Nathan Harvey. I am not an application developer. I don't want to kill DevOps. I think DevOps is a really good thing. But I do find articles like this online and have these conversations with people all the time. I work right now at a company called Chef. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe you haven't. That doesn't really matter for the purposes of this talk. I started there 4 years ago, and one of the first things I did 4 years ago was I went to a local meetup group, and I sat down with someone, and it was a developers meetup group. And they said, hey, I heard you got a new job. Where are you working now? I said, I work at Chef. And the next words out of his mouth, I fucking hate DevOps. Okay. Cool, dude. Nice, good story, bro. Yeah. Individual productivity doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're an application developer or if you're in operations. If what you are optimizing for is your individual productivity, or if your organization is optimizing for your individual productivity, you're doing it wrong. It's the flow that matters. We need to flow work through our systems. We need to think about our systems as systems. We don't need to think about the various handoffs and so forth. So let's go back to this chart. Development times are too long. This is what he said. It's really just weighing down the developers when they have to think about their server infrastructure. And if you take those words and extrapolate on them a little bit further, what the author is basically saying is that, look, developers are here to develop. The operators are here to operate. The release engineers are here to deploy. The QA team is here to assure quality. The security team is here to secure. Let everyone do their job. Let them each get better at their job, and that's what's going to make things faster. But if you click through and actually read the study, I read it, and I'm going to share some quotes from it with you. You might take away a different conclusion. So, in the study was called The Rising Need for Innovation at Speed. There's a URL there. If you want to click it and go read the article, I'll wait. I'll post the slides later. You don't have to take a picture of it. But they were talking about a company that delivers to market in 2 to 4 weeks. To do so, it uses a cross-functional, integrated organization to accelerate decision-making and eliminate delays in functional handoffs. To me, this doesn't sound like developers now need to go and learn how to run all of their infrastructure. What this sounds like is we need the developers working together with us. We need QA working together with us. We need to bring together cross-functional teams and have us all working on the same thing. We need to not have too many handoffs. And whatever handoffs we have, we need to look to eliminate or at least streamline those things. We need to work together. They also found that team performance is assessed on the basis of common metrics and incentives that focus on go-to-market speed and rapid lead times. Okay, let's do things here. First, common metrics. How many of you have ever worked in an organization where your developers are measured on the number of lines of code that they commit? How many lines of code did you commit? Ooh, good job, Scott. You get a bonus. That was lots of code. Don't delete any because that would have a negative impact on your bonus. That would be terrible. Developers to build new features. And we tell the operations people, keep the systems up. And we incent them for that. And when we do that, we've set up perverse incentives. These incentives are fighting against each other. Developers, I want to ship new stuff. Operators, I need to stop and keep everything stable. That's not okay. So we need to look at common metrics. And then the other thing we need to focus on is speed and decreasing our lead times. How do I move faster? How do I decrease my lead time? One of the things that we love to focus on as businesses is cost. How do I decrease my cost? Guess what? If you start moving faster, if you minimize your lead times, if you recover from outages faster, your costs are going to go down. If you focus exclusively on your costs and trying to reduce those, you are likely to have a very negative and dramatic impact on your time to market, your ability to recover, and your lead times, your speed. So it's true, DevOps is not my job. DevOps is also not your job. DevOps is our job. We all have to work together in order to ensure the business success, the right outcomes. And frankly, I don't care what you call it. I don't care if you call it DevOps, or you call it Agile, or you call it Lean. The word doesn't matter. The idea, the why do we do this? We do this to achieve a business result. We do this to improve our business, to serve our customers better. This is a DevOps Days, after all, so I feel like I have to give a definition of the word DevOps. It's requisite in every presentation, even the Ignites. So you Ignite presenters who don't have a definition, you should add that in now. Here's my definition. DevOps is a cultural and professional movement focused on how we build and operate high-velocity organizations, born from the experiences of its practitioners. And if we stop and think about this for a minute, first, it's a cultural and professional movement. DevOps is not a tool. You cannot come to Chef and buy from us 42 units of DevOps. There is a corollary to that, though. There are many vendors in the market that will try to sell you DevOps. It's not something that you can buy, but there is sure as heck someone who's willing to sell it to you. It's a cultural and professional movement like hip-hop or jazz or heavy metal or country music. We're in Nashville. These are all cultural and professional movements focused on how we build and operate, dev and ops. But it's high-velocity organizations. So you do not fix your organization by focusing on two departments in that organization. Dev and ops are not enough. We are striving for a high-velocity organization. If you've ever moved from the data center to the cloud and you made that move without talking to the accounting team, the people in finance, you did it wrong, and you found out about it for sure. If you're out there looking to hire or to grow internally DevOps talent and you're not working with the HR team, with recruiting, with internal development, you're doing it wrong. You're not going to be as successful. DevOps takes the entire organization. And then the last portion of this definition, it's born from the experiences of its practitioners. Columbia Sportswear practices their own style of DevOps. VictorOps practices their own style. Facebook practices their own style. Pivotal practices their own style. Each one is slightly different. But as Andrew mentioned, we need to think about the principles. What are the principles? Where does all of this come from? The why? I want to talk about my principles of DevOps. When I think about DevOps, these are the principles that I think about. People come first. People over products over companies. We know through research, we know through coming to work every single day, that people that are happy and engaged in the work that they're doing are the ones that are most likely to build great products. And from those great products, you can build great companies. How many of you go to work every day and hate your job? That's good. I said every day. If you hate it some days, like, that's cool, I get it. You get up and go to work every day, not to fun, right? Yeah, that's cool. You can hate it some days. But we have to put our people first. And in operations and in IT, we do a shit job of putting our people first. How many of you know how to ignore a Nagios alert? Yeah. That's not putting people first. How many of you hang up on VictorOps every other night? Yeah. Also, not putting your people first. We love you, VictorOps. We're lean. In DevOps, we are lean. We look to other industries. We look to other practices. We want to bring those practices into our own practice, into our own way of working. And in DevOps, we fail. We fail all the time. This is why it's so hard to sell it to executives. Boss, guess what? We're going to do DevOps, and every day we're going to fail. Like, who wants to buy that? That sounds terrible, right? No, but the failure here, the important thing about failure in DevOps is we treat failure as an opportunity to learn. John talked about it earlier. Jason just talked about postmortems. When we go into a postmortem, I was taught at a very young, early age in my career by a very interesting manager. The step zero of a postmortem, assess blame. That's what we do. We figure out who's to blame. That's how we run postmortems. That's not how you run postmortems. Postmortems are a fact-finding mission. We're here to find out what went wrong, what put us in a place where we did these things. How do we prevent this in the future? And there are two questions that are important to ask in every postmortem. The first question is, how could we have detected this sooner? The second question, how could we have recovered faster? Those are the questions that matter most. How do I detect this sooner? How do I recover from it faster? And you take the answers to those questions and you write them down. You put them in a system. You measure them over time so that you can see and watch your mean time to detect and your mean time to recover improve over time. That's how you get to a high-functioning organization. With DevOps, we absolutely practice ubiquitous workflow automation. We understand and allow the computers to do the things that computers are good at, and let the people do the things that they're good at. You know what people are good at? Recruiting other humans to come work with you. You know what computers are terrible at? Doing that. If you don't believe me, sign up for LinkedIn and put DevOps in your title. Ubiquitous workflow automation. And then there's another important principle of DevOps, and that is the principle of diversity. And I think it's beyond just diversity. It's inclusion and diversity. With DevOps, we build a very welcoming community where we want the best and brightest people from around the world of all different backgrounds, of all different experience levels, joining us to solve these problems. Think about this in very practical terms. You just had an outage. You go into a postmortem and you want to learn from that outage. How do I detect this faster? How do I recover from it sooner? How do I get better as an organization? If you look around the table of the people that you're asking those questions to, and those people look just like you and have the exact same background and experience as you, what's the chances that you're going to come up with a unique or a great, new, innovative answer? Pretty low. So I want people there that don't look like me. I want people there that don't have the same background as me. I want people in that room that disagree with the things that I'm saying. That's important. That's how we learn. Diversity is key. And frankly, we in this community, in the DevOps community, have a responsibility to help push this forward, this idea of inclusion and diversity. And frankly, it goes beyond just the workplace. We need to think about all of the other human beings that we interact with every single day. Anyone know who the guy on the right is? Who's that guy? Someone tell me his name. That's Patrick Dubois. And what do we call him? What's his sort? He's the godfather of DevOps. He is the godfather of DevOps. Anyone know who the guy on the left is? Yeah, it's John Willis. He was here this morning. He's still here in the room, so he's over there in the orange hat. Anyone know who this guy is? Anyone? This is the grandfather of DevOps. So Patrick is the godfather of DevOps for sure. But for me, for my personal journey, this is the grandfather of DevOps. Because, you see, for me, DevOps actually started round about 1986. This man's name is Rick Rubin. Anyone know who Rick Rubin is? Yes, he's a music producer. In 1986, Rick Rubin had this crazy idea. He went to this band that was called Run DMC. And he told them, there's this other band over here, they're called Aerosmith, and they play this like rock and roll music. What I want you to do is collaborate with them. I want you to cover one of their songs. And this is what Run DMC said to him. Oh, hell no, that's hillbilly gibberish. That's what they said. When I heard that, this is what I thought. I thought Run DMC felt a lot like Operations. And that someone just threw some shit over the wall to them and said, deploy this. And they said, I don't even understand this code. But it was Rick Rubin. So they're like, all right, maybe we'll do it. So then he went to Aerosmith. He went to Steven Tyler and he said, hey, I want you to work with this band, Run DMC. They've already started practicing. Let me give you a demo tape. And this is what he said. What the hell are they doing to our song? To me, my developer, part of me, works fine on my machine. What the hell are they doing to my application? Why does this even matter? But here's what happened. Does anyone remember this song? Like, I look around the room. Some of us in here are old enough to not just remember the song, because the song is interesting, but it's that moment, right? And if you're young enough, if you weren't listening to popular music in 1986, let me give you a quick history lesson, because I am old enough. Back then, there were rock bands, and there were rap bands, and like there was a dividing line, and the two would never, ever meet. So when Rick Rubin did this, it was insane. It was ridiculous. And what happened was these two bands came together. And you should watch the video if you haven't seen it, because it's truly DevOps. In the video, there is a literal wall, and Run DMC is over on one side of the wall rapping, and Aerosmith is over on the other side of the wall rocking, and they get pissed at one another, and they actually tear down the wall. They tear down the wall, and then they come together. But here's the thing. When they came together, they didn't ask Run, hey, pick up this guitar and start thrashing. They didn't say, hey, Steven, you're good on that mic. Can you drop some fat rhymes? Like, let's see. Let's make that happen. That's not what they did. That's not what they did. And when we go back to that article, DevOps sucks because it makes our developers have to run all of our production systems. Bullshit. That's not what we're doing. That's not what this is about. We want you to keep rocking. We want you to keep rapping. But I want you to come together and think about that audience. The customer, that's your audience. The business, that's your audience. Work together. Work on common metrics. Record sales. We're going to do this joint album together. How many can we sell? And what matters is not that I learn how to play guitar. What matters is that we work together and delight that audience. So, DevOps, it's not my job. I want to talk a little bit about that phrase. That's not my job. Maybe you've heard that phrase before. Maybe you've uttered it before. I will tell you something. If you find yourself saying that phrase over and over and over again, you're right. It's time to go. It's time to find a new job. It's time to go elsewhere. Because that phrase means one of a couple of things. What that phrase might mean is you don't give a shit about your business. I don't care. That's not my job. My job is to do this thing. I'm going to do this thing. If that's your attitude, if that's how invested you are, what you do is go find somewhere else that inspires you. Go find work that makes you happy. The other problem with saying that's not my job is you are not showing any empathy or any care for that other human being that's talking to you at that point. You are eliminating or saying that what they do doesn't matter. It's kind of the same thing. What you do doesn't matter. How many of you love to hear that? What you do doesn't matter. Yeah, it sucks. Don't say that to people. And don't have that attitude. And I hope that you're never on the receiving end of that. DevOps is all of us. It's about building and operating high-velocity organizations. We have to work together to do that. Everyone in our organization practices DevOps. And it's not about developers becoming operators. It is about us becoming better connected specialists. That's what DevOps is. In DevOps, we put our people first. Great people that enjoy their work have an opportunity to build great products that can then turn into great companies. We talk at DevOpsDays about culture and tooling. Never forget, it's the people that are in the center of that. You cannot change your culture, you cannot change your tooling without thinking about putting the people first. We, as individuals, are at the heart of this movement. We are this movement. And if you want to change your culture and you want to change your tools, you have to start with the people and understand that your culture will reinforce and amplify the effectiveness of your tools. And then the opposite is true. Your tools will reinforce and amplify the effectiveness of your culture. You change them both by putting people first and thinking about them both. This DevOps community is a community. We're a community of human beings who are spending 2 days together, sharing stories, learning from one another. Community truly is our foundation. And I'd like to close with some Ubuntu philosophy. And I think this is really at the heart of the DevOps community. I am because you are. You suffer. So when you suffer, I suffer. You thrive. This has been a very interesting week. And honestly, it's been a painful week in many ways for me personally. Maybe for some of you in this room. I want to live this every single day.
Technical work anyway. Sometimes I do process architecture. Sometimes I'm working on release management. Should this ship in this part of the week or later in the week or in a different part of the month? Is that technical or is that management? I don't even know. I don't even care. It's a thing that's got to get done and I'll take care of it. The other thing you really need to do is provide a career path. When people say when I grow up I want to be an individual contributor, they don't mean it. What they want is they want growth, they want opportunity, they want more opportunity for advancement, responsibility, and more money. I can help with that because I understand both sides of that equation. And as a leader, I get to foster the culture that I want in my area. That's what I want to help with. I don't want to be a crappy manager. I've worked for those people. So I hopefully, by understanding the work those people do, can be the leader they want to be. And that's why I don't think you have to make this choice. I think you can do both.
So much in 5 minutes. Next up, we have Aaron from Cage Data.
That's me. Oh, it's the end. You're spoiling it. You guys got that? Are you starting now? All right. So I am Aaron. I'm from Cage Data, and I want to talk about storytelling, which is oddly relevant to earlier talks we had today. Because I think storytelling is really important in who we are and how we communicate as just even a species. It's something we've been doing for a really long time. It's just kind of how we manage the world. In fact, our brains basically tell us stories all day long. It's how we process data. All the cognitive biases we have are our brains either trying to make meaning out of seeming chaos or trying to fill in the gaps for information we don't have, or just trying to figure out what's important and what's not. So all of it is done through narrative to ourselves and communicated through narrative out. We try to assign meaning to everything. In fact, there was a study done with college students. They were shown these abstract shapes, and it was animated then. They kind of moved across the screen, except for the rectangle on the side. When asked what they saw, almost all of them anthropomorphized what happened. They assigned motivations to the shapes. So this one was afraid, this one